Back in middle and high school, I really enjoyed Spanish class. I took it for 4 years total, from 8th to 11th grade. It might surprise you that it was one of my favorite subjects, considering nowadays my answer to the question "Hablas español?" is always un poco? But then again, it's also not a surprise if you've ever glanced over at my second channel. Our teachers utilized all sorts of odd learning methods and tools, trying to get us dumb kids to care about learning another language. And obviously, the absolute king amongst these for me was none other than Señor Wooly. A collection of absolutely iconic music videos and stories from the, demented mind, that's how he marketed himself, of one Mr. Jim Wooldridge. The story of how he went from a regular Spanish teacher making up songs for his students to a constant presence in Spanish classes across the nation is truly an inspiring tale of heroism. But as much as it pains me to say it, this video isn't about Señor Wooly. So what of my other Spanish class experiences? Well, books were a constant. Just take some book made for first graders in English, rate it in Spanish, and bam, there you go. The 8th graders will love this. I remember using Quizlet flashcards and even a little Duolingo, but probably the most unique teaching tool I ever encountered in Spanish class was during 9th grade. It was such an odd yet creative and interesting way to teach a language that it really stuck with me, such that I still remember it today. This is Mi Vida Loca. No, not that one. Not that one either. Nope. There, that one. Mi Vida Loca, which of course means My Crazy Life, is an interactive video drama series designed to help teach basic Spanish words and phrases. It was created by, the BBC, never heard of them, and was released in late 2008. The series consisted of 22 episodes, which had 2 sections. The drama, where you would watch the story unfold with some occasional interactive elements, often teaching vocabulary or grammar, and the learning section, aka the boring part. Each episode could be accessed through the official webpage, which even provided additional materials for teachers who wanted to use it in class, like mine did. And yes, the episodes ran on Flash, which means I get to talk about it. Unfortunately, that also means you can't play it anymore. Yeah, I've kinda had this video idea for a while, and after failing to find a way to download the SWF files and not seeing them on Flashpoint, I really thought that the interactive versions of these episodes were going to become lost after the Flash shutdown. But just for kicks, I decided to take a look at Flashpoint now, and yep, it's there. Flashpoint once again proves to be the answer to all of my problems. Now, Mi Vida Loca on Flashpoint does have some issues. The learning section of each episode isn't here, and whenever you make some kind of choice that leads to a loading screen, it soft locks, thrusting you into loading bar purgatory. This happened for 4 separate episodes, so I had to look them up on YouTube to see the whole thing. So that was annoying, and I really hope this can get fixed, along with recovering the learning sections. But despite all that, it's still great just to be able to re-experience these episodes the way they were meant to be. Anyway, yeah, Mi Vida Loca. Real Spanish, real drama. Yeah, big whoop. Señor Wooly can do that too. Ever seen the Guapo trilogy? I feel like this was primarily made for British people who wanted to learn some Spanish to go on vacation, holiday, to Spain. So I'm not exactly sure how my 9th grade Spanish teacher in America caught wind of it, but I am glad she did. And hey, I haven't studied Spanish in years, so maybe this will act as a good refresher. So the basic premise here is that our friend from Spain, Teresa, has invited us to visit Madrid. But she had to leave at the last second, so now we're going on our own. However, she's given us the keys to her flat where we can stay, as well as a magical talking phrasebook who acts as our guide and narrator. I'm gonna give an overview of the whole story now, so spoilers, I guess. After landing in Madrid, we head to Teresa's flat, where we're confronted by...
¿Y tú quién eres? ¿Qué quieres?
After explaining who we are, things get cleared up. This is Merche, Teresa's sister, who we somehow didn't know about. We soon learn that Merche is a journalist investigating some pretty dangerous people, as she's constantly on the run from various threats. She tells us mi casa tu casa and goes to take a nap. Where'd she go? Each episode begins with a previously on section, which is a nice way to recap what's happened. The neighbor comes by and gifts us a croissant and a palmera pastry. Merche is unimpressed, so we go out to eat instead. Merche has to answer the phone, so we learn to order for both of us. She seems to be on a pretty intense call. This looks like the perfect time for a word search puzzle! Merche has to run off due to something urgent, and this mysterious guy chases after her. I'm just saying, none of this would have happened if we settled for the croissant. I love how Mr. Phrasebook uses the guy who chased after Merche as an example for how to ask for the bill in Spanish. Merche said she'd meet us back at the flat, so we navigate to the metro station to get there. As the only major city I've really been to is New York, these subway stations are way too clean. On the train, we we notice that guy again. He's never given a name, by the way. He's just El Hombre de Madrid, reading an article that was written by Merche. We meet up with Merche at a rooftop cafe, along with her friend Jorge. After that, we go to another restaurant, this time for tapas. At the end of the night, Merche's tape recorder is suddenly stolen by a pickpocket. The next day, we go to the market and buy a bracelet for Merche to cheer her up. She likes it, and as thanks, takes us on a cable car ride, where she receives a mysterious, threatening phone call. Damn, this guy actually pulls the I know where you live. He's good at this. After some more sightseeing in Madrid, we return home and it appears Merche has left. She's paranoid about the man following her and is fleeing to the countryside in Medina de Rio Seco, where her friend Esther lives, and invites us to come along. We head to the bus station, learning some Spanish along the way, and even a math jump scare when we have to count the change. We arrive in Medina de Rio Seco, and wow, Merche didn't get our message. She's not here to pick us up. Looks like we'll have to think about finding a hotel. Hey, you know what always cheers me up? Word search! We ask for help, and we're brought to the guest house nearby, but it's full. Why did he do that? We end up staying at the inn by the canal. There's a registration form we can fill out, name, nationality, date of birth. Geez, next is gonna ask me for the 3 wacky numbers on the back. In the morning, we're picked up by Merche and introduced to Esther, who is a Spanish teacher. She runs a class in, her attic, I guess. Yeah, playing this episode while in Spanish class was pretty meta. We join in on one of her classes until suddenly we're interrupted by the sound of Merche screaming. We rush downstairs, only to find that she was just scared of a spider. Glad to see she's still using her go-to weapon, the frying pan. Esther has another class and Merche is working, so of course we have to do the shopping. I'm a big fan of how aggressively we throw stuff into the shopping cart, but just before we got to the bakery, we noticed someone familiar. El Hombre de Madrid. He followed us here. Wow, talk about a cliffhanger. We don't know whether we got the bread! I love how he hits the cloth like he's hitting the door frame in the school hallway, the dog is barking at him, you can just tell he's evil. This next episode has a very interesting vibe. We go out to dinner with Merche and Esther, but we're the only one who knows that the man is here. You need to tell Merche the bad news, but you don't want to ruin her mood. So we wait until everyone's finished eating to drop the bombshell. Merche doesn't take it too well. After that, we go to a wine tasting and Merche gets a little drunk. No, I did not make that up. Back in 9th grade, this was about the moment I realized that I was not exactly the target audience they had in mind. So Esther and her brother Carlos take Merche to the winery to get her mind off the bad news, just because they know she loves wine. And she's enjoying it, of course, but also still thinking about what we told her. I like the scene where you have to answer Merche's questions about the man to make sure it was really him, and as it's setting in, she takes a sip after each answer. That's pretty great. After possibly too many drinks, Merche suddenly decides she's giving up the investigation. The next day, Merche takes us on a boat ride to relax. It's all going well until suddenly we see the man standing on the shore chasing after us. Yikes! Mi Vida is getting pretty loca right about now. We get off the boat just in time and make a run for it, and eventually manage to lose him. After the big chase last episode, Merche has suddenly decided to continue her investigation after all, and to do so, she goes to the island of Gran Canaria, once again inviting us. We have to check into a hotel and meet up with her photographer, Raul. At the hotel desk, you're given a keyboard to enter the letters of your last name, but I just click them all to hear the different sounds like a toddler. If only they'd show you what you entered afterwards. Raul picks us up, we meet up with Merche, and learn that tomorrow she's attending some kind of meeting in the south of the island, and Raul warns her to be careful. At breakfast the next morning, Merche accidentally spills her coffee on us, and the phrasebook is very passive-aggressive about it.
Gracias, Merche.
By the way, did they just leave in an outtake of her laughing at the end there? Who would do that? So we go shopping for some new clothes. I was worried when we had to pick what shirt color we wanted that we'd get sent back to loading screen purgatory, but miraculously no, we made it through. We take a bus to the south of the island, where all the tourist developments Merche's investigating are. Oh, right, I didn't mention that before. Yeah, that's what she's doing. Merche was supposed to meet up with us at the lighthouse after her meeting, but wasn't there. She calls us and tells Raul to rent a car to pick her up. Clearly this meeting didn't go as planned. As we're going to rent the car, we notice El Hombre, who has once again followed us. Raul follows to see where they're going, while we rent the car, because of course. We drive to where Merche has to be picked up and find her at a payphone, before suddenly a car drives up and she gets kidnapped. Oh, it's getting real now. We chase after her kidnappers and they stop at a house. Raul hatches an elaborate plan to rescue Merche that conveniently happens to involve us learning to talk about real estate. We're going to ask the realtors to view the house right next to the one the man went in so that Raul can sneak through into theirs. While we're upstairs, Raul enters and hops around the fence in the back. We join him and search the house, but there's no sign of Merche. But Raul finds a map of the island with the Tirahan ravine marked, thinking that could be where they took Merche. Sure enough, we find them at a remote hideout in the middle of the valley. We manage to sneak in, untie Merche, and escape unscathed. It's a very tense scene, but maybe a little anticlimactic that we go completely undetected. Merche says she feels sick, so we go to the pharmacy to buy something for her. Oh, I was wondering how they were gonna shoehorn learning something into this one. At the end of the night, we return to the hotel with Merche. The receptionist asked if we had a good day, and this would have been the perfect opportunity for a title drop. Bueno, sabes lo que dicen, mi vida loca. In the morning, we're out taking photos for Merche's article. There's a nature reserve near the beach where we look at birds for a bit, and Merche finally reveals what her article is about. She's investigating a powerful and corrupt tourist developer in Spain, and El Hombre de Madrid works for him. He was trying to intimidate Merche so she wouldn't release her article. Raul snaps the final picture for the article, and Merche thanks us for everything. And that's technically where the story ends. Wow, what an ending. The final episode is very simple. We're already back home, we relive some memories from our trip, and we get to read Merche's article. We get one last video call from Merche, who of course, being Merche, is suspicious that people in her life may have been secretly plotting against her. Nonetheless, she hopes we visit again, and reminds us that mi casa tu casa in a cheesy full circle moment that made me smile. After that, there's a test to see how much Spanish you've learned, but unfortunately, just like the learning sections, it doesn't work. There was also a page where apparently you could share your thoughts on the conspiracy, which didn't work either. So yeah, when it's finally all revealed, the investigation was about illegal tourist developments. Certainly not the most thrilling tale, but hey, that does make it feel more realistic. And they do a good job at creating a sense of mystery early on. Overall, I thought the story was pretty good. Nothing amazing, but succeeds for what it is. Maybe it meanders a little too much though. Like, there's a good amount of episodes where nothing really happens that progresses the plot forward. A lot of moments are there simply to teach you important phrases for certain real-life situations. Ordering from a restaurant, checking into a hotel, taking a taxi, stuff like that. This is great for learning, some very essential words to know if you ever visit a Spanish-speaking country, but it often makes me feel like I'm doing a bunch of chores. Like, this is just mi vida. Where's the loca? What's the last drama series you watched where the main character has to buy clothes? Or go to the pharmacy. But to be fair, this was supposed to be a regular trip to Spain, so all the sightseeing is pretty justified. And there's a good variety of different locations you visit throughout the story. In terms of gameplay, Mi Vida Loca is pretty much your average interactive movie. There's not much here. Besides making some basic choices that don't affect much, most of the interactivity is within the phrasebook. He'll give you some vocabulary and sometimes have you answer questions about them, like filling in the blank or the fabled word search. The interactive bits they have are pretty neat, but I wish there were a few more of them. Like, come on, where's the QuickTime events? The game often encourages you to say phrases out loud, really taking after Dora the Explorer. This isn't required, of course, but it can help you better understand how Spanish is spoken. And it surprisingly feels pretty natural. I really like how they handled you being in Mi Vida Loca. Everything is filmed from a first-person perspective, but the focus of the story isn't really on you. Merche is the main character, and you're just going along for the ride, which is fun. They do a great job at making it feel like you really got to know Merche. I think the characters are one of the strongest aspects of the whole thing. As for the presentation, video quality is, a little rough. It's a video playing through a flash file in 2008. Of course the quality is gonna be crusty, and honestly that kinda gives it a strangely nostalgic charm. Everything else is pretty solid though. The acting, the camera work, the UI, even the music is surprisingly good. And that was basically Mi Vida Loca. I'm definitely biased due to my Spanish class nostalgia, but I enjoyed it. It has likable characters, an intriguing mystery, and is pretty good at teaching you what it aims to teach. Sure, the story's a little aimless sometimes, maybe went on a little too long, but those filler moments still have a purpose, to teach you Spanish. Looking back, I think these creative, sort of unorthodox ways to teach things are actually really valuable. Other students would roll their eyes at how silly they were, but I think that silliness was part of why they were so effective, and especially memorable. You don't remember that generic worksheet you did in class that one day, but you do remember that funny scarf and his love story with those pink boots. So I want to thank everyone who worked on Mi Vida Loca for creating one of my favorite Spanish class memories. And weirdly enough, there is a lot more competition for that title than you'd expect. Mi Vida Loca is no longer playable in browsers, and that means it can't really be used in classrooms anymore. At least not the interactive versions, which is kinda sad. We need to petition the BBC to update Mi Vida Loca to HTML5 so it can be played in browsers again. Maybe they could even upgrade the video quality, since there was a version that aired on TV, which appears to be higher resolution than the Flash episodes. Clearly there is nothing more important they could be doing. Nope, nothing at all. When's that HD remake? I don't know how to end this video, so happy April Fools! The joke is that the thing I just reviewed is not something I would normally review. Did you get it? Did you get the joke? Did you laugh? Please say yes.